everyone, I'm ptet and I will be your MC for today. Before starting the event, we would like to invite Hilmi Salihin to lead the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Thank you, Hilmi. Next, let's welcome the President of Sustainability Ambassadors Club, Li Wen, to give her opening remarks. Good afternoon to our tutors, guest panelists, and students. I'm grateful for this opportunity to welcome you all to our Sustainable Environment Forum and Eco-Pledge Day. Before we begin, in case of emergency, please calmly make your way to these two doors, and gather at the car park. This afternoon, we hope to hold a constructive discussion as we delve into topics regarding sustainable practices and embrace the spirit of Eco-Pledge Day. Now, please allow me to introduce our panelists. Ms. Trisha Lai from Kaimana Living. Mr. Alwi Sufyan from Tree Lane Farm. And Mr. Izzuddin Ishaq from Bua. Each of them has a profound and active background in fulfilling SDGs, in working towards fulfilling SDGs and sustainability in their fields. Their expertise will hopefully pave the way towards a more eco-conscious future, inspiring us to take more meaningful actions. Without further ado, let's proceed with our forum, and I will now pass the floor to our MC, Fatin. Thank you. To invite the moderators and the panel speakers to sit in the forum area.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I'm Jasmine and I'm Claire, and we will be your moderators today. Today's forum is about a sustainable environment. So before we start, we would like to explain how today's forum will work. We already have a set of questions prepared for the panelists, but we will also open the floor to the audience if they have any questions to ask. You guys can ask by scanning the QR code on the slide.
So without further ado, let us meet our panelists today. On my left is Mr. Alwi, and followed by Ms. Trisha, as well as Mr. Izzuddin. And before we start, can each of the panelists please introduce yourselves? Starting from Mr. Alwi.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Alwi. I'm the farm manager of Tree Lane Farm and also Eco-Agro Farm. Tree Lane Farm is a small organic operation in Temburong, and Eco-Agro Farm is a fruit plantation in Temburong as well. My background is in agriculture, so I did my degree in the UK at University of Nottingham, and I came back in 2019 and started working for Eco-Agro Farm, and I started my own business, just Tree Lane Farm.
sustainable products. Can I just know, has anyone been to Kaimana? No? Nobody here has been to Kaimana. Okay, I have my work cut out for me today. Hopefully I will introduce all of you to Kaimana, and that'll be great. Follow us on Instagram. I know everyone has phones right now. At Kaimana Living, please, and then we'll be able to talk more about it. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hazwani. I used to go to PTET 2016 to 2017. So a bit of my background. I am part of the world, an NGO. So the NGO is focused on the conservation of biodiversity in Brunei. So we do it mainly through education and awareness. So a bit of my educational background, I have a civil engineering background and currently working as a project engineer in one of the oil and gas companies in Brunei. That's all.
Wow! As you can see, we have 3 amazing panelists with 3 different backgrounds. So let's start this forum with a general question for all the panelists. So what does being sustainable mean to you? Can we start with Mr. Kawi?
I suppose I really got into sustainability when I came back from my degree. Actually, no, even before that, I did a permaculture course. So that was back in, I remember now. I was probably around 18 years old. I did my permaculture course in Bali, and that really got me into a sort of rabbit hole into sustainability and the importance of growing food sustainably. So I think that was how it all really started. And as a business owner now and a farm owner, I really try to implement the things that I've learned throughout the years. Even in uni, we did a lot of modules in sustainability and how to farm sustainably. So it's really, I guess, that's how it really, what is it? I guess, sorry, lost my train of thought. But yeah, so it just, that's where it all started. It's from my permaculture background.
So the question is, what does sustainability mean to me?
Yes.
So for me personally, I spent most of my adult working life living in Vancouver, in Canada. And guys, you don't need to move. Brunei is also a fantastic place. Now, having lived in both places, Brunei is also super ooh. But what was a big thing with Vancouver is that, and a lot of the bigger cities, is that low-waste shopping is a growing trend over there. Has anyone gone to a low-waste store outside of Brunei? Maybe? my co-panelist says, has anybody here, have you gone to like a low-waste store? No, right? So it's actually not a very big thing in Brunei we were the first, so it didn't exist at all. But in Malaysia, there's like 2 or 3 low-waste stores in KL. In Philippines, Singapore, there's some low-waste stores as well. So for me coming back, and I am Bruneian, so I came back to Brunei to visit my family for Lunar New Year, and then tada, COVID, right? Lockdown. Oh, cannot go out anymore. And all of my shampoo, my toothbrush, my toothpaste, it was all running out, and I realized that there was absolutely no option for me to shop low waste to refill my shampoo bottles. Because here, what we do is we buy the shampoo and then we throw away the plastic bottle, right? So can you think about over our lifetime, just how many bottles we throw to landfill? So for me, what sustainability means was I learned how to shop low waste abroad, and having this knowledge, I also had the privilege to be able to open a shop here in Brunei to try and encourage people to shop low waste. We are only in Bandar. We have one store in KB too. So you guys are kind of in between. You can choose which one you want to go. But check us out, and just every little bit helps, right? Sustainability is such a buzzword right now. Everybody's talking about it, but are we actually really trying to do something about it? And we can, collectively. If each person here decides that they want to stop every time you go out and you're thirsty, you buy one plastic water bottle, right? And then that one gets thrown away. If everybody here made a commitment to try and bring your tumbler, now we have so many tumblers. These are so popular now, right? You know, Stanley and everything. So if everyone here, how many people are here right now? Do we know? See, 100. So if everybody here made a commitment today, that's 100 bottles we don't throw into the landfill, right? You just think, oh, it's me, it doesn't matter, just one, just throw. But if 100 of us here today made a commitment, then that's already 100. So this is what we call collective action. So we want to do that. It's such an important part of sustainability. So that's something I just want you guys to think about. When you think about sustainability, what part are we playing in it?
For me, what is sustainability in a layman term? It's basically when we use something, we are not running out of. For example, in the bathtub, there's water. So if the rate of you putting out of the water in the bathtub is the same as the water going into the bathtub, so the water level is always the same. So that is for me and my understanding on sustainability. But after around 5-7 years joining the world, spending time with all the passionate people who is passionate on biodiversity, they started to instill something in me. So one of it is, for example, in the future, climate action was not being minimized or it become worse. Makin teruk nanti. So at least in the future, you can tell your grandchild or anak like, oh, when they ask you what have you done or did something during the climate change or anything, even though your action is very small, but then you have attempt to minimize the impact of climate action. So another thing with sustainability is it will impact in the future. So it will impact us in the future time. So it's more of your preparation on future, whether you want to have a sustainable future or future that is a bit of a rough if the climate action is not being handled. I think that is for my view.
Those were really well opinions from the panelists. One thing that caught my interest was when Ms. Trisha, you talked about your business. May I ask if you have faced any challenges in trying to make a sustainable business?
Well, we face challenges all the time, especially as a small business. It's very challenging to be a small business. I think one of the things that is also linked with sustainability is supporting your local economy. So one of the things right now that, for example, is quite challenging is that the borders are open, so everybody likes to travel outside, right? Go kai kai, go miri, go, spend all the money outside of the country, but then we have local businesses here that if you spend your money within the country, we can help grow our local economy as well. And I think one of the most difficult and biggest challenges is that it's wanting the Bruneian consumer, which is all of you, you are Bruneian consumers, you're Bruneian customers, to spend in Brunei. And I know it's hard because Malaysia, the ringgit, it's like $1 Brunei dollar to 3.3 ringgit, right? And, oh, it's almost 4. So you can buy like 4 times, maybe as much things. But it's like the concept of, do we know Shein? Right? So Shein is like ultra fast fashion. It's not even fast fashion anymore, it's ultra fast. They produce something like 10,000 designs in one day, and they just keep like spitting out so much clothes because it's so cheap. And a lot of people will buy it because it's cheap, but then the quality is just not good, right? But I think we need to start thinking like I don't know if there's any local clothing brands. I'm sure there is, but of course the price wouldn't be as cheap as a big company like Shein. But if you spend your money locally in Brunei, then the quality one is better. Yes, you may not be able to buy as much, but I think we should also always be thinking, do I need so many things? Do I need like 50 different colored t-shirts and whatnot? You know, these are like the challenges that we face as consumers with so many choices as well. But I really ask that if you want to help our local economy, which in turn helps our country as well, it's so important to try and spend our money inside the country and support local businesses and buy local food and local products. So that's one of the challenges that we have.
How about Mr. Ali? Did you face the same challenges when opening Tree Farm?
Yeah, so we started 3 years ago, just when COVID started then. So we saw the same challenges that Kaimana saw, which is that a lot of people are buying products from outside of Brunei. And it's the same with food products as well. Especially for fresh produce, we have Sabah and Sarawak just next to us. When products from Sabah and Sarawak flood our markets, the prices plummet down. Like for example, we sell our eggplants for $6, but just last month, truckloads of eggplant came in and the price dropped to $1 per kilo. So it's very hard for us to compete with their prices because the farms in Sabah and Sarawak are huge and they have the volume to sell their products really cheaply. Whereas for us, we've only got 2 workers on 1 acre. So it's a challenge for us to compete with outside production. And because we are doing organic farming, it's more labor intensive, our costs are higher. So it's really not an option for us to sell our eggplants for $1 a kilo. So that was one of the 2 challenges. And another challenge is that the infrastructure for agriculture in Brunei is very underdeveloped because agriculture is a very new industry in Brunei. It's an upcoming industry, but it's a very new industry. So the infrastructure is just not there. When you apply for land from the government, you get basically a forested plot of land with no electricity, no water, no infrastructure. So when we go in, we're starting from zero basically. Yeah, so we spend at least half a year to a year just building up the farm before we can even grow something. And so it was quite a challenge for us in the beginning that we go through.
So do you think that by being sustainable, does it give a better outcome than not being sustainable?
Shall I answer that first? Okay. Yeah, so the reason why we're doing organic vegetable is because I believe that we have to do it in a sustainable way, because if we don't, our kids, the future generation, they won't have enough resources to grow food like we can right now. And if we're not doing things sustainably from the start, from today onwards, people 50 years from now are going to have a very difficult time just finding the resources to grow food. And we don't want to rob our future generations of the opportunity to grow their own food, right? So we have to think about how we can use our resources properly and efficiently. And like what Mr. Asyiqin mentioned just now, you want to not deplete your resources, right? You want to make sure that the amount that it's refilling is similar to the amount that you're taking away. Or even better, do things regeneratively. Take what you need, but also make sure that it's building up more than what you're taking.
So there's a question how to remain sustainable for NGOs. the challenges we face. So for us, it's slightly different. We're not a business, we're an NGO. So the challenge number one would be the manpower. This is a volunteering organization. So outside of being a member of Rural, we are also a working person. For example, I'm a project engineer. So my time is very limited to after working hours. So that is one thing. And then, for example, just for today, I have to take a leave to be able to attend this event. So this one of the challenges when you are having this NGO. And then another thing is we are not a business body, so money is always one of the challenges. So if we want to be invited to schools or having a talks on the any supermarkets, because I've been there, and then there's some project. For example, last year before COVID, Stella offered us a amount of Manila to make a little Eco Pahlawan program. So it's a 6-month program, and then we will be having an activity or any talk that is relevant to the local biodiversity. So we're educating the kids on what we have in Brunei and why it is important for us to protect. And then another project we have is Bruwal documentary. If you go to YouTube, you can search Bruwal. We have 2 documentary released, I think, around last 2 years. So the first one is on the mangrove. So the importance of mangrove and why we need to protect our mangrove. And then the other one is the tiny heroes of our seas. So if you have time, you should watch that. So it's like a Net Geo vibe lah sikit. Kali if you see the video, I bet most of the animals, most of the plants, you guys hindi pernah lihat lah. And then the opportunity for you guys to lihat barang tu is a very hard lah. So those are the kind of animals that we want to protect. For example, if you bring macam orang dari Europe or UK or US, for us, seeing monkey di sering jalan macam hampuk tidaknya. For them macam orang living in the city, so the forest cover in Europe is very very small. So seeing monkey is very macam baru pernah ni lihat ambukan ni satu. And then for example, if you go to KB or on the way to Miri, you can see hornbill on the top of the traffic lights. So our part NGO is to make sure that the kids, the future, know ada hornbill. Kena macam burung ayam besar sebenarnya. So that's our role lah. So another challenge that we face is kan when you do some small action, for example using the recycle bag, not using plastic straw, using metal straw. Logically speaking, apa lagi yang impact macam tu kan? Kali sebenarnya, when we talk about this macam sudah pakai metal straw and everything, the mindset of the public is very hard to be changed by. So sometimes we have to focus on the kids because it's easier that we ajar awal. This is important. We need to act this way or this way, not this way. So those are one of the challenges. Another challenge is we are an NGO, so we don't have the authority. So we work closely with the local authority. For example, one of our programs is a wildlife rescue. So one of the rescue is rescuing landak. Landak. Do you know landak? Yang ada spike. So those kind of things, we are not being macam kena ajar how to handle everything lah. So when the rescue is being called, so we have to turn. So I bring my container aquarium lah, macam ni, hand glove apa. Kalau naik ke sana, ada 3 ekor besar satu monkey. So ni je buat aquarium. So that's one of the challenges lah, and how we going to pindahkan the animal from housing area and then to a safer place, which is like some forest lah, where their habitat yang ngam dengan dorang punya condition. So those are the few challenges for us to sustain the NGO.
Wow, that was a really insightful switch, and I started to wonder about protecting our nature, and that relates back to what Mr. Ali had mentioned earlier about how your farm uses sustainable farming techniques. Can you please elaborate more on what kind of techniques you guys use?
Sure. So we are an organic farm, and organic basically means we do not use any synthetic material in our farming. So we don't spray any pesticides, we don't use any synthetic fertilizers. So pesticides are what you spray to kill pests, right? So that's what it is, pesticide, right? It's to kill pests. And pesticides are not, they don't discriminate between a good insect and a bad insect, right? So if you spray pesticide and it's a flowering plant and a bee pollinates that plant, the bee will actually die from the pesticide as well, or it will have long-term health effects on the bee, and it can affect the whole colony of the bee by bringing contaminated pollen with the pesticide back into its hive. And so these sort of practices are convenient for farmers, right? You have a problem, you spray with pesticide, it's gone. But for us, we try to go for a more sustainable method. We don't use any pesticide, but instead we use physical barriers. Right? We use insect netting that are reusable. We've been using the same netting for 3 years now. And these sort of methods are more labor intensive. Right? Every time we harvest, we have to take the nets off. Every time we do any weeding, we have to take the nets off. Whereas if you spray pesticide, it's so easy. Now, even for big farms, they have airplanes that just fly over the farm and spray the pesticide, and you're done in an hour, right? So a lot of the practices now of conventional agriculture is for the convenience and ease of the farmer. It's just to make things very, very efficient for the farmers. But in the long-term run, the heavy use of pesticides and chemical fertilizer has a very detrimental effect on the environment. So that's why we don't use any pesticide or chemical fertilizer. And for chemical fertilizers, it will also destroy the soil that we grow our crops in, because the fertilizers themselves, they have an acidic property, and it also destroys the soil carbon. So the nutrients in the chemical fertilizers react with soil organic material, and over time it degrades the soil to a point where you have to apply double the amount of fertilizer that you used a few years back. Right? So the soil sort of loses its nutrient holding capacity, whereas for organic agriculture it does the opposite. The more you use compost, the more you try to build your soil, the less you have to use these inputs over the years. Just to give you an example, when we first started, our soil was yellow clay. It was very, very heavy clay. It was super swampy. We couldn't even step into the field without losing our boots. It was that bad. And over the years, we've turned that yellow soil into a very dark, rich soil. And when we first started, we couldn't grow kangkong. You guys know how easy it is to grow kangkong, right? It grows in longgangs, and basically wherever you don't want kangkong to grow, kangkong will grow. But we couldn't grow kangkong in our soil, it was that bad. So now we're able to grow tomatoes, eggplants, all the good stuff with very little issues. And when you have healthier soils, it also creates healthier plants, and healthier plants can defend themselves against pests. So these are our sort of methods of controlling our pests.
Wow, that's a great way to farm. That's the first time I've heard farming like that. So, a question from the audience. Is there a way for us to be sustainable and cheap at the same time for those who are not very wealthy? Can Ms. Trisha answer that?
Yes, I really want to. This is a really great question. So I will say that low-wage shopping, just up front, it is more expensive. You go to Kaimana, the products are not cheap. And the reason for that, one, is because we are a small business. We are not able to buy large amounts so that from the supplier it can be much cheaper. You guys know economies of scale? Is that something that you've learned already, right? So a lot of the problems with Brunei and small local businesses is that we can't take advantage of economies of scale. So everything that we buy is already expensive. And then when we try and sell it to you, in order for us to pay our team, to pay our rent, to pay all of our operational costs, it does become more expensive and it does become higher. So with this question, something that's really important to us as well is to know that you don't have to spend a lot of money to be sustainable. Sustainability is not about buying the newest, reusable, fanciest bottle for $100. It's using what you already have. We have so many things already that is in our house, I'm sure, that we can use to repurpose. So one of the biggest actions that you can do with sustainability is to first look around and see what can you reuse. What products are already in your house? A lot of jars, a lot of empty jars that you can use as containers. You don't need to buy a lot of things. Another thing too is I think what I really like to see with your generation as well is the growth of thrift shopping. That I really like. And I think my parents' generation last time is like, yeah, I don't want to wear like somebody else's clothes, you know, already. That's like not nice. But I think we're starting to come into an awareness that if you have so many clothes and you donate it and you like something else, then just wash it and then you'll be clean and it will be good and you don't have to keep buying and be a part of this cycle of just buying new. So there's a lot of things you can do that is actually free or super cheap that is to be sustainable. Another thing that I can recommend that is also free is when you go for a hike in your local park, there's a lot of rubbish, right, that you see, pick it up. You know, that's free. That doesn't cost any money, but it does cost some of your time, right? So there's nothing truly free in this world, and I think one of the important things that we are mentioning here is that where do we want to put our effort? If we want a truly sustainable world, it's gonna take effort. The reason why right now our world is not sustainable is because we are always choosing the easy thing to do, right? A lot of our systems are built to extract, to take out, to burn, to use, and we are not replenishing. So replenishing and making sure that we can have a sustainable way moving forward, it's going to take a lot of effort. And myself and you, this is a call for everyone. Put in the effort. We can do it. So that is not, financially it's free, but your soul will need to pay. Right? You know, we need to put in the effort. So that's a great question. Thank you.
Do you want to add on, Mr. Izzy?
I think the cheapest way is, one way is SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. So not everyone know about SDG. So normalizing talking about SDG in your everyday life, make people aware of SDG, what is it about, what is the key indicator, what is the targets. Those are also an method for sustainability, which I think everyone can do that. For example, just gambar anything, hashtag sustainability, SDG. Those are one of the efforts I think is the easiest one, and I think I think that is like what I can think of. Another one is as mentioned before, you can use anything that is available in your house. For example, when you berbanta dari rumah, using the container is one way of being sustainable. Slightly changing your routine or habit one day at a time. For example, today pakai container tapi pakai sudu plastik daripada buang. Sebab container is effort sudah. So next time you guys use a metal spoon, metal fork. Another step further. Those are one of the efforts you guys can use lah. I think everyone can do it. For example, when you buy sini probably kantin sini nasi campur, bali pakai pinggan. That is one of the efforts. Using your own container, one of the efforts. Easiest way is using your own bottle, must order coffee. I think coffee is now a trend. So when you guys buy coffee, use your own tumbler, and I think ada discount lagi. So,
Maybe I'll add on a bit to that. So as Ms. Trish mentioned just now, our products are not cheap either. You know, we sell at a slight premium, mainly because the cost of us doing organic is a bit higher than conventional agriculture. But you have to bear in mind that everything has a cost, right? It's either you pay the cost now or you pay the cost in the future. Right? If you're not willing to pay for a more sustainable product now, maybe in the future you won't even have the opportunity to buy this product anymore because you've lost all the resources to create this product, right? And it's the same with our company, with vegetables above. If you don't support sustainable businesses now, in the future the climate is going to change and maybe it's going to get too hot for us to grow tomatoes or something like that, you know? Then you won't be able to buy tomatoes or grow tomatoes anymore. So it's either you pay for the cost now or you pay for the cost in the future. And there's always that hidden cost that we don't really think about. Obviously, I'm not asking everyone to pay for expensive products, but if you can afford it, it's better to contribute to sustainable businesses.
All of the panelists have provided with a lot of helpful methods to be sustainable, which are cheap and free. However, I've noticed one question that's been garnering quite a lot of attention from the audience, which is, what are the most impactful sustainable initiatives you've been part of or have witnessed? Can we start from Mr. Uzidin? The most impactful sustainable initiative.
I think being part of an NGO overall is one of the biggest impact on the sustainability. Another thing is, one thing is the documentary, as mentioned before, the heroes of our sea. So the collaboration of making the video, we collaborate with NGO from Singapore. So the team go diving at I think Pilong Rocks. I don't know the place. Tapi near the Muarata. So when we released the documentary, it was shown in Singapore, punya cruise boat, and then if you go to airport, there's a TV basar di sana, and then there's small TV behind each chair in the airplane. So our video is being shown there. So I think that is one of our biggest project, which we could reach a lot of views. So for me, that is the biggest impact.
Does anyone want to add on?
Sure. I think for me, in terms of what I've witnessed, in terms of an initiative that was bringing forward sustainability and focus, was because I had lived in Vancouver. Many years ago, there was a huge, I think, initiative to speak about our climate crisis. Right? We don't talk about climate change anymore because we're past change. We're now in crisis mode. Like the world that we are living in right now is overheating. I don't know if we're aware that they found microplastic in our cloud systems. Now there's plastic in our clouds. Yeah, there were plastic in our seas before, but now they're finding microplastics in our cloud systems as well. So it's starting to feel like our climate crisis is really being at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. And we might also feel that our government levels are not doing enough. This is talking around the world, where our governments are very slow to act. And so in Vancouver, I was part of a climate walk. And there's about 2 million people. It's a small city for the world. I don't remember that, you're like, oh my goodness. sorry, 2 million people. But for the world, Vancouver is not a very big city. But at that walk itself, I think they said 100,000 people were walking through downtown, all with signs for climate change. Everybody brought their families, and this was just to witness 100,000 people walking over the bridge. You can imagine, you know what's that bridge called in Bandar, where you the SOAS bridge. So imagine the SOAS bridge full of people, completely walking over to the other side. It's completely packed for our climate crisis and to bring attention that we care about the world that we're living in, and we want our world leaders to do more. For me, that was such a moving moment, and how collective action, we as the people, we need sometimes to really talk about this and push for change, because a lot of the times our leaders are not quite in line because they're so busy doing other things, right? Which is fine. But we know that we care about sustainability and our climate, and so we need to talk about it as well, and we need to keep raising awareness and keep showing that. So for me, that was a very large moment in my life to be part of so many people walking for that.
I guess for me, because we do organic farming, we have to create our own compost for farming, right? And the compost that we make, we source chicken manure and also horse bedding from Bolova. The chicken manure we're buying in from, we're getting it for free from a really large chicken producer. And before this, they were getting logistic companies to come pick it up and dumping it into the landfill. So essentially what we've done is diverted all that chicken manure, 12 tons to be exact, every month, of chicken manure from being dumped into the landfill. We're bringing that to the farm and creating compost. And that's another 12 tons of horse bedding mixed into the chicken manure, and also some food waste that goes into that. So essentially we're diverting waste products, or what people consider waste products, from the landfill and turning it into really nice compost that we use to grow food. So that's something that we're really proud of.
Wow. So I have a question for Mr. Izudin. How does our current unsustainable practices affect our biodiversity in Brunei? Does our unsustainable practices affect the biodiversity in Brunei?
So one thing is unsustainable practice, is it, in Brunei? So littering is one of the main issues in Brunei. So when we litter, like for example, a bottle plastic, tissue, the impact is the aesthetic adalah, and everything animal can boleh makan and is looked at as food. So what very dangerous is when it comes to, for example, if you go to KB, there's some part, the forest is hilang sudah. So most of the forest fire in Brunei cases rooted to the cigarette butts. So people like highway kan, so like they jalan saja. Kali sigo, kali buang, kali that starts the fire. So one of the practice littering itu, one littering action can lead to the forest being burned. When you think about it, forest being burned, hilang pa, that's it. But when you think more deeper, the habitat hilang. So there's where, for example, in Medi, there's a palm farm, a very big area. So if you fly airplane, you can see the palm farm. So after the palm farm being made di sana, so they're starting kenampakan of macam, for example, leopard di KB, and then there's more hornbill di KB. So the deforestation to have impact on the forest itself, the animals living in the forest, and then the human living near the area. That's the major unsustainable practice in Brunei. What we in Rual really highlights.
Now that we're aware of how our unsustainable actions can actually affect the biodiversity, is there any way that communities can actively contribute to protecting these ecosystems?
So one thing is the easiest way, as mentioned before, normalizing conversation on SDG, normalizing the conversation on this sustainability. So by normalizing this conversation, these topics, it slowly provide the domino effect. So one person do good sustainable action, and then being seen by others will slowly follow. That is the kira long term punya initiative lah, which can be done, and it is free and cheap, and it's very, in a way, efficient.
So let's take another question from the audience. This question also got 7 likes. 7 likes. That's a lot. So the question is, what policies, in your opinion, would greatly support sustainability in Brunei if it were to be implemented? Can anyone answer?
So in Ruak, we also work closely with local authorities such as Jabatan Perhutanan and Perikanan. So in Brunei, we have our own policy, wildlife policy. So the wildlife policy, I think it's last updated was 1988 or something around that years lah. So most of the clouds or most of the animals are not being, the policy is outdated basically. So we work closely with the authority. We compare the local punya policy. We compare it with KK, for example, and BD. So what are the gap between our policy and our neighboring policy? Because at the moment, it's not, kamu na nampak every day, poaching is happening in Brunei. Animals being sold in and out dari Miri. Those kind of things is happening in Brunei. So the fact that they are happening lama sudah and no action or lack of action is being implemented or policy being implemented, that need to be looked into lah. One thing with poaching and selling of animals, it will lead to extinction of the animals, and especially animals can bring, for example, I think COVID, people say it's from bad agriculture. So this animal, for example, original from Brunei, so it brings some virus which is original from Brunei, go to our neighboring country. Those are one of the concerns. So I think policy on poaching and selling of animals need to be improved. And other than that, I think it's a very trendy at the moment is animal cruelty. I think in IG, PAUSAP is doing something about it. Policy is a bit lacking on that part, so we need to look into that one also.
I guess policies in agriculture, like Asyiqin mentioned just now, is also outdated for our industry. Countries like UK, all over Europe, they reward farmers for being sustainable. And for example, if the farmer allocates a certain plot of land, let's say 1 acre, into growing wild flowers to improve the population, give them food over the winter, they get awarded per acre, let's say $300-400. So it encourages the farmers to move towards sustainability. So instead of the consumers paying this, the government is rewarding them, so they are more incentivized to farm sustainably, which is what we're lacking here in Brunei. We're not being rewarded for being sustainable. In fact, the government development onion, they encourage farmers to use pesticides, they encourage so it's sort of a bit backwards in that field. So I think policy in rewarding farmers to perform sustainable approaches is needed.
Sorry, Ms. Trisha. It seems like it's almost the Azan prayer. So we'll take a 5-minute break and we'll listen to your view after the 5 minutes, okay?
Popular 7-line question, which the policies, right? So when I was doing research before opening Kaimana, I was doing a lot of research on Brunei, and out of all of Southeast Asian countries, Brunei, before Kaimana, Brunei was the only country left in Southeast Asia that had no low-waste store. Every other country in Southeast Asia had a low-waste store, but we didn't. We didn't have any at all. And then another very surprising research that I tell a lot of people, and I don't think we realize, is Singapore is the #1 country in terms of waste produced per person, per capita. So, of course, Singapore, there's so many million people, right? But do you know who's #2? Brunei. And our population is only 450,000 or something. We're so small. For us to be #2 in that list is very malu, actually, don't you think? We produce, on average, 1.4 kilos of rubbish per person every single day. So there's 100 of us here, right? And each of us throw 1.4 kilos altogether every day. Think about how much that adds up. And in Brunei, we only throw everything to the landfill. We have no recycling methods here. There's one company called Enivo. They're really fantastic. I don't know, have you guys heard of Enivo? Yeah? So I'm so glad you've heard of Enivo. Enivo is the only company in Brunei that accepts office waste paper and turns it into toilet paper as a product to sell in terms of taking recycling. There is no other place in Brunei that does that. So all of our waste, our food waste, for example, that we could be turning into compost, everything gets sent to landfill. And when things go into landfill, nothing degrades because there's no oxygen in the landfill. So this, all of this rubbish that we are throwing into the landfill is pretty much going to be there forever, for the rest of our lives, for the rest of your children's lives, for the rest of your great-grandchildren's lives. It's a cycle that we have to break. And yes, policies are very important, but also government is very slow. So while we should always be pushing for policies that support sustainability, we also have a responsibility to take the actions that we need to do to try and mitigate our impact on our waste systems and on our planet overall. So I'm always talking about it's very important to have government laws and regulations supporting this, like the plastic bag ban in supermarkets. That was really fantastic, but that happened 7-8 years ago, and nothing else has happened since, right? Because it's almost like, oh yeah, but enough, no need to try anymore. We already banned plastic bags, but we have to keep going. We have to keep pushing for more initiatives in sustainability. So yes, while it's very important to have government policies, we also cannot wait anymore. We don't have the luxury of time. I know it feels like that in Brunei because we're so like relaxed, right? Because we're very privileged here. We don't have any natural disasters. But you've noticed the rain, it's getting worse. It's getting heavier and heavier. The roads are starting to really flood. A lot of things are happening. So we must try our best to be sustainable with our actions, to try and not consume and waste so much. So that's something that I invite everyone else to do.
Because we're talking about waste, I think about 30% of our domestic waste actually is from food waste. Yeah. So that's something to think about as well. How do you reduce your food waste? You know, sometimes it's easy to just, oh, I want to get these blueberries, but it ends up just sitting in your fridge for weeks until it rots and then you throw it out, right? So how do you, sometimes, better to control your consumption. Do you really need to buy this product? And if it's starting to go bad, maybe turn into jam or something like that, preserving your food instead of just chucking it into the bin.
So how can we encourage the youths to have a more sustainable lifestyle, and how can we as youth do that sustainable lifestyle? Can anyone start with the teacher?
First of all, I think understanding the situation and, as I said, normalizing the SDGs. And one thing about SDG, was and the millennial goals, they're all related. For example, if you need to understand, for example, if you target on land below water, I think SDG number 14. And then SDG number 15 is life on land. So if you protect the land below water, so the function of ocean, when they receive the sunlight, they dissipate the heat. So kami na terasa too much of the heatness lah. And when there is too much heat caused by climate change, so that will impact the life below water, which is referring to corals, fishes, nudibranch, and some clams. So when you understand one SDG and then tackle one SDG slowly, I understand it's a bit daunting lah at the moment with the climate action and everything is negative. So we need to understand SDG and 125 is related. So if you tackle one SDG, it will impact the other key indicator for other SDG. So try to understand what is SDG and everything, and then act local, think global.
So it's what can you do to encourage? I think the ultimate thing is you need to care. It's very easy to, are you signing it? There's a sustainability pledge that I saw. Is there some sort of thing that you, or are you pledging, your commitment to sustainability? It's just so it's very easy to talk. And this is myself included, I have to remind myself, right? But what is our action? What are we actually trying to do? And while I really encourage you to, there's so much resources now that you can read. We have the information at our fingertips, literally through your iPads, through your phones. You can read so much information about how can you be more sustainable. But if you don't do anything with this information, it doesn't mean anything. So the ultimate commitment is to actually do it. And I think for me, it's also understanding your power as an individual, your ability to say yes or your ability to say no. So for example, this was an instance that really blew my mind, but it was so simple. I went out for coffee with a friend and we wanted to tapao. And she went, I forgot my tumbler. I was like, yeah, okay, never mind, it's only one container. She went, no, I don't want. I'm like, really? But it's just, well, she was like, no, this is my commitment that I am taking. So that was a very important lesson for me because I realized, oh yeah, you can just say no. You don't have to do it. And it's very easy to be like, never mind that, tomorrow can do, tomorrow can start, right? But we are really starting to feel the many negative effects of our climate crisis, right? With plastics, we don't recycle any plastics. It's not profitable to recycle plastics, right? So every little thing that we do, it all adds up, but it comes from you. So nobody can encourage you but yourself, right? So you have to make the choice, and that's the most important thing. So I really hope that myself, everybody else, we make a commitment to wanting to be better, and not choosing like the easiest, most convenient things, because our culture of convenience and our culture of easy, that is what has really caused a lot of our climate crisis. So choose the sustainable way, which right now, it's always the hardest. So we need to put in the work first, and then it can be easier.
Like Ms. Trisha mentioned just now, you need to care, right? Because it's your future that's, that's in trouble. Well, our future as well, and we're not that old. But it's your actions today will be, the consequences will show in 30, 40 years time. So it really comes down to, do you really care about the future that you're going to live in, right? So maybe start thinking about what are the consequences of all my actions. What are the consequences of using the disposable stuff, and what you're buying, your consumption and the resources that you're exploiting and using. So just start to think about all that, and I think from there you can really start caring.
So there, I think it looks like we have run out of time. It's quite sad because we wish we could talk to you guys more.
Do you guys wish to something about it?
So with that, let's all give a big thank you and a round of applause to our panelists. We really appreciate you all for taking your time to be with us today. And I hope you guys, the audience, will be inspired and will gain more knowledge on how to be sustainable in the future from now on. So with that, let's put this forum to a close, and I'll pass the floor back to Fatin. Thank you, moderators and panelists.
on, we would like to invite Ms. Nurul Hadina binti Haji Alias to announce the winning video for the Video Essay Competition 2023.
Hi everyone. I think early in October, we actually challenged our sustainability ambassador members to come up with a video about the different solutions to climate change. So some of the topics that we spoke about was technological solutions, individual and community actions, and the role of education and advocacy. So we had several judges come in and judge the videos based on certain criteria such as how critical they were and how they were able to be quite in-depth about the solutions. So without further ado, I'd like to announce the winning team. And the winning team is topic number 1, technological solutions. So we'd like everyone to also celebrate and watch their video with us. So please play.
Ultralight fabric solar cells. These solar cells are no thicker than a human hair and can turn any surface into a power source. MIT engineers have unveiled a game-changing technology. These solar cells are glued onto a lightweight fabric, making them easy to install. The fabric, now equipped with solar cells, is being used in disaster recovery operations, adhering onto tents and tarps. They can provide energy in emergencies, like disaster relief. On a sailboat, solar cells have been integrated onto the sails. They can be integrated into the sails of boats for on-the-go power. They extend the flying range of drones. The solar cells are integrated into a building's facade and easily become part of the built environment. Professor Vladimir Bulovish shares his vision. We strive to accelerate solar adoption for a carbon-free future. Means the minds behind innovation. They're lightweight and powerful. The camera shows the cutting-edge printing process used to create these solar cells. The solar cells are made from 7 conducting beams using advanced printing processes. The engineers test the solar cells for durability. They've undergone rigorous testing.
new building, Kaya. This is Asia's largest wooden building, which has a floor area of over 40,000 square meters. Using mass engineering corridors fabricated off-site, the carbon footprint of constructing Kaya was reduced. The timber is exposed to no-cladding combination, making the building more environmentally friendly since sunscreen is used. Therefore, NGU is embracing sustainability.
Everything starts with a vision and the courage to change, to adapt, and to reimagine.
Reducing CO2 emission has been a crucial subject in shipping and logistics in the past years. About 90% of global trade is carried by sea and container vessels will remain the most important and efficient eco-friendly transportation. The shipping industry emits this amount of CO2 per year. Hapag-Lloyd is a global container shipping company that aims to contribute to sustainable transportation. Very focused on reducing emissions through various initiatives. Towards efficient route planning and optimizing their operation to minimize environmental impact. Hapag-Lloyd involves a partnership with emission curve from emissions reduced container transport. Hapag-Lloyd and emission curve reinforce sustainability. Hapag-Lloyd ship-rate initiative offer emission-reduced ocean transport. Ship-rate is a part of Hapag-Lloyd's climate-neutral journey.
That was such an informative video. Congratulations to the winning teams. Now, we would like to invite Senior Master CCA Cikgu Hajah Nur Ehsan binti Haji Muhammadiyah to present the Certificate of Appreciation to the candidates. Let's give a round of applause to Mr. Awi Sufyan from Tree Lake Farm. Ms. Trisha Valencia, live from Kaiman. And Mr. Muhammad Izzuddin Ishaq from Burwaya. Next, we would like to invite one representative from Group 1 to collect the prize. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment that everyone has been waiting for, the launching of the N-Evo bin. Let's welcome Natasha and Ilfi to do their presentation.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon everyone. My name is Natasha.
And my name is Mohammed Lutfi Pakri.
Today we are here to talk about the importance of proper use and maintenance of the paper recycling bin and Evo. Without any further ado, let's start with what to do when using it. First of all, you need to keep the area around it clean. Remove any paper and any non-paper items such as metals or plastics. Check and adhere to specific recycling guidelines in your area. Remove staples or threads from the paper before recycling. Ensure paper is clean and dry before disposal. And finally, recycle appropriate items. The items to be recycled are white papers, office papers, textbooks, exercises books, non-glossy books or papers, which means the books or papers doesn't have any definitions, and shredded office papers.
Now, let us focus on what not to do. Dispose of hazardous material improperly because it can cause contamination on the recycling process. Throw a large or bulky item that could damage hygiene. Ignore cleaning is prerequisite to maintain hygiene. Include paper contaminated with food or grease, for example, pizza box.
Throw in a paper product with heavy coating or lamination, magazine. Mix in non-recycled material like plastic or metal. And finally, overfill the bin causing spillage and contamination. These are the inappropriate items to throw inside the inner bin. Food waste, magazine, food boxes or wrappers, plastic bottles, wood material, metal, and newspaper. That's all from the inner bin. In conclusion, I'm pretty sure that I can ensure that the effort of paper recycling can contribute to more positively sustainable environment. Okay, thank you for your time and listening to our enable. Thank you guys.
Wow, what a wonderful initiative. Finally, let's welcome Liwen to give her closing remarks.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Sustainability Ambassadors Club, I extend my utmost thanks to our amazing panelists, our passionate participants, and everyone who participated in this success. And hopefully, today's discussion and Eco Pledge Day activity has motivated everyone to pursue a powerful change, and carrying this commitment forward will shape our actions and inspire those around us to contribute their time into this cause. Until we meet again, may the seeds we plant today bear the fruits of a greener and more sustainable tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Liwen. Before ending this session, let's take a group photo to commemorate this event. Woo!
Thank you.